Okay. Hello. I'm Pamela Topchian, and I'm excited to introduce a new feature on my channel called Conversations with Holistic Practitioners, Holistic Connections. And today, I have Jen with me with our essential energies. So, hi, Jen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my honor. Thank you so much for being with me and being my first guest. How exciting
Yeah,
for both of us.
exactly.
Hopefully. Okay, so just share a little bit about what you do in the holistic healing world and, your talents and gifts and skills and everything that you do in the holistic world.
Yeah, so our Essential Energies just opened in May here in Roseville.
Oh.
Address over here on Sunrise, right across from the Spaghetti Factory in Roseville. So very convenient.
Yes, yes, one of my
And
favorite places.
yeah, me too. And so here at this studio, I'm hosting group sound baths. So as you can see behind me, I've got my little setup there. And so we're doing those on Sunday afternoons, and I'm sprinkling in some Wednesday evenings as
Hmm.
well. And then I also have some room here at this location where I do one-on-one Reiki healing,
Okay.
which is really exciting to have here in Roseville. And I also do sound baths and sound healing one-on-one. So
Okay, yeah.
it doesn't have to be that you are joining a group of people,
Hmm.
but that you can come in one-on-one.
Okay, great. So somebody who's never heard of sound baths, can you kind of explain what the experience would be like for a new client or a new guest coming into one of your groups? What
Yeah,
would that experience
absolutely.
be like for them?
This is one of the most common questions I get. I
Yeah.
actually have folks saying, "Sound bath, do I have to wear a swimsuit?" So
Bad,
we're
yeah.
not in water. No swimsuit. Stay dressed. Don't
Yeah,
make it
please.
weird. So here, as you can see behind me, this is the studio. That's the front of the studio. Those are my instruments up in the front.
Beautiful.
So when you come in for a sound bath, you would bring like a yoga mat or like a comfy, like a camping sleeping mat to lay on. Kind of think along the lines of like a yoga class, except you don't have to do anything, the best part. And a pillow and blanket because you're going to lay down and just relax. And then what will happen is that when we get started, I'll take you through a very brief guided meditation to help
Mhm.
you relax,
Nice.
and then move over and start with the instruments. And so what will really happen is that as with that verbal meditation that we get you into a really nice relaxed state, and then the music and the sounds and the bowls will help really create a sound guided meditation.
Nice.
And so that looks very different for everybody. For some people, it can be challenging because there can be some emotions that come up
Mhm.
when you give yourself time to think. You have time to think.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's
when you stop and allow yourself to relax, things come up. And a lot of times when people have that continuous mind chatter or
mm,
they're very busy, busy, busy people, they're
yeah.
really kind of avoiding that stillness. So, yeah,
Absolutely. And it
yeah.
really truly is hard to find space to have quiet.
Hmm.
I know in my own life, the phone is going, there's always an electronic noise happening.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
the doorbell's going, the whatever notification is happening all the time.
Hmm.
And it is work to set that aside. And
Yeah.
so this space is that we turn the phones off and we create a space for you to have time to have that peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
Amazing.
yeah, it really is. And so some folks fall asleep.
Yep.
That's okay. That's part of it.
Yep.
And I will not disturb you because I will not interrupt a good nap.
I was gonna
Um,
say, do you go around afterwards and give them a little kick?
well, I mean, I'm not kicking, but I do have my ocean drum, and that can get a little noisy if
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to. But no, no.
I'm
Everybody who
sorry.
has fallen asleep will naturally come to awake
Mm,
at the
yeah.
end of the sound bath. It
Mm,
it isn't an overnight sleep type of thing. It really is a
right.
deep rest.
Yeah.
And so and some people will be very awake and be moving around. And so each of the bowls and each of the instruments has a different tone and
Mm,
will help address different parts of your body, different parts of your chakras. So really what you take from this is what works for you.
yeah,
It can be an hour of listening to some really beautiful sounds. It can be an hour of really deep meditation. It can
yeah.
be an hour of really beautiful reflection, but it's an hour for yourself of quiet.
So lovely. So lovely. Yeah. So we're recording this. This is not live. So I'm going to experience a sound bath with you and other people. So in a group setting.
Yep.
And so by the time this comes out, I'll be able to put in the description below what my personal experience was with
Oh,
our
good.
essential energies sound bath. So I'm very excited for that. And so I want to ask you, what do you think some of the misconceptions are that people have about whether it's sound baths or Reiki? And I know on your website you have aromatherapy as well.
Yep.
So, what are some misconceptions or, false ideas
That,
that people might have?
that's a really good question. And obviously, as many different people as are out there, there's that many different
Yeah,
ideas about things. But
right, right.
I think one of the biggest ones that I've encountered is that there are folks out there that think that this might be contrary to their religious practice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Hmm,
and I that's something that is challenging for me because I
sure.
don't see it that way, right? And so this is about creating space for yourself, and this is about
Yeah,
investing in yourself. And what you choose to allow into your body is your choice. And if this is
yeah,
energy that helps you, and this is time that helps you, your faith is what will guide you through it. This
yeah,
is not religion based.
right.
There is no religious teachings or practices involved here. This is sound. This is energy. It's around us.
Vibration, positive vibration. Yeah.
It's around us every day
Mm-hmm.
in everything we do, anyways. And this is an opportunity to really focus it and use it in a way to benefit us.
Yeah. Nice. So nice. Yeah. I think it sort of, we have, like you said, there's so much noise around us
Mhm.
every day that if you're just in a quiet space, it's very, very difficult for it to be completely quiet unless you're in like a sensory deprivation,
Exactly.
tank or something. And I was noticing that just yesterday about, sitting around in the complete quiet, but different things just in my house, just different things that are happening, and yeah, it's hard to get just complete quiet.
Yeah.
So
The
yeah.
other thing that people have raised concern on is the level of the noise in this experience.
Mm,
So as you can see,
yeah.
there's a gong, there's some
Hmm.
drums, there's now it is loud, but
Yeah.
it is not percussive loud. This is not
Hmm.
a rock concert. There aren't
Right.
drums and heavy vibrations happening. So myself, as someone who is
Mm.
very noise sensitive, as people
Mm.
who know me know,
Yeah.
this is something that I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
That really brings me a lot of peace, and that is
Nice.
significant for someone as noise sensitive as I am.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up because that's something I wouldn't have even thought about is people that are sensitive to sounds or different sensories, and we have a lot of that, now. So I think that you had mentioned, and I might be wrong, but people over 16, is this for people over 16 only? Or because I was
Yeah,
thinking of children or teens that have
yeah,
more, maybe on the autistic spectrum or just very sensitive. Yeah.
yeah. And I would really like to be able to delve into involving children, not
Mm-hmm.
just in simply expecting them to lay still, which is
Right.
too much to ask,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. You
for
don't
a
want
lot
it
of
to be a
people
chore.
too.
Yeah.
But what has happened is that with folks bringing young people in, they have a hard time being still
Yeah.
for that amount of time, which is then disruptive. And it's pretty
Right.
important to me that the folks that are coming to this type of event have the space to do what they need to do here.
Right.
So yeah, my policy right now is the
Mm-hmm.
16 years old.
Yeah.
But my goal is that in the very near future, that we can be doing things for teens,
Yeah.
preteens, and even some of the younger ones in smaller
Mhm.
groups where they can have time to be seeing the instruments and hearing the instruments.
Yeah.
My son is 5, and when he
Mm.
comes into this studio, he immediately parks himself right there and grabs the
Oh,
sticks and
nice.
starts playing. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But it really does need to be in a small group.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, so are you so you said you do one-on-one, is it all in person or do you do any remote types of sessions, whether it's, any of the, if it's Reiki or anything else or the baths or
Yeah. So right now I'm doing everything in person.
okay.
I'm not techie, so
Well, I'm not either, but Zoom is pretty easy.
well, you've got this one figured out. No, everything is in person. I do,
Okay.
if needed, we can do consults over the phone ahead of time. I
Yeah.
have done that leading up to some Reiki sessions for folks that have
Mhm.
been trying to juggle childcare or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Because man, setting aside time for this
Yeah.
stuff is part of the challenge, and that's
Yeah.
greatly understood. So but yeah, everything
Okay.
here is in person for the
Okay.
sound and for Reiki.
Okay, great. So, how did you first become interested?
Oh, that's a long winding path. I was in a very stressful, intense career
Mhm.
for quite a long time. In the process of trying to keep up with that, I using sleep medications and
Mm.
heavily using caffeine and heavily,
Yeah.
just you get into that cycle of just how do I get through the next day? How do I
Right.
get enough sleep so that I can turn around and do this again?
Mhm.
And really, I just came to a point where I was like, I can't just lay down and go to sleep. I need
Yeah.
I've created this habit and pattern in life, and it really struck me very strongly that I was just very disconnected and dependent in this cycle.
Yeah.
And I reached out to find some different ways to support myself, not
Mhm.
just for the sleep and the stress, but really for about starting to take better care of myself in general.
Yeah, overall, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was that thing. It was where I was getting older and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't keep doing this forever. I have to start investing in myself.
Yeah.
And I connected with some friends with essential oils and
Mm.
really just started to see the value and the actual effectiveness of some of these modalities that were outside what I had experienced with.
Yeah.
And just it was working. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, okay, then maybe that when my doctor says that's your only option, maybe I need to take a minute and step back and actually look at what my other options are.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
outside of the
so
medical field, yeah.
exactly. And it wasn't in lieu of, but
Right,
it was in how do I find the best fit for me
right,
as I move forward in my life, because what the guy next to me is doing doesn't work for me.
right.
And it shouldn't. We're all individual.
Absolutely.
So that took me down a course, and then I just started realizing there's just a lot of ways to do this
Mhm.
in dealing with some pretty heavy grief and stress in
Mhm.
the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Felt like I needed something more. I made a lot of progress in talk therapy and doing some of
Mhm.
those more standard things, but it
Mhm.
wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
And connected with Reiki
Mhm.
and had, as a client, had just an incredible breakthrough in my
Mm.
grief and my stress and some of how I was perceiving life at that time.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to learn more.
Yeah.
I have to find a way to bring this into my life in every way that I can. And that ended up bringing me into actually practicing Reiki, which,
Yeah.
I mean, that was never on my spectrum. What
Right.
me doing? Yeah. And then as part of Reiki, I was exposed to sound healing, which
Mhm.
again, another incredible breakthrough for me. And as I am taking these huge leaps forward and growing and building and really flourishing in a time in my life that I would had previously been struggling so hard.
Yeah.
It just made me feel so connected, like this was something I could bring forward to my
Yeah.
friends, to my community. And
Right.
what's been really beautiful has been my son, because
Oh,
he
nice.
says, "Mommy, will you Reiki me?"
Oh,
I'm just
nice.
thinking, here I am with the next generation of showing him
Yeah.
ways that I didn't get to know.
Yeah, and especially for, I hate to say it, but especially for a male,
Yes.
a lot of men are, my husband said when I told him who I was interviewing and that I was going, after the interview, and he said, "Oh, that sounds really interesting." And I said, "Do you want to come?" No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Go check it out and tell me about
Yeah, yeah.
it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's great that your son is really, yeah, knows about it. And yeah, he'll go into, like you said, the next generation, he'll go into his life, singing the praises, and maybe doing some of it himself.
Well, and
Yeah.
some of the lessons that I've had to learn on my own,
Mm-hmm.
I can give him the gift of the knowledge that I
Yeah.
have from them.
Passing it
He won't have to
down,
learn them.
passing it down.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned too that, it's not in lieu of the medical treatments or our typical, treatments that we get, that it can work well along with, with
Absolutely.
whatever else you're doing. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Every person has their own path, and
absolutely. Yeah.
that can look like Western medicine only. It can look
Hmm.
like no Western medicine, or it can look like anywhere in between.
Anything in between. Right,
But
right.
what works for you is what you have to pursue. And if what you're
Yeah.
doing isn't working, it's time to look.
Right. Keep looking. That's one thing I always say to people, keep trying. There's always more that you can try. There's always more to look into. And whether it's, like you said, whether it's just one avenue or one path or a combination of a few things or yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
always there's always a way to go on your healing path. Don't give up because
That's right. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah. As
I've
hard
had
as it is, there is a
yeah,
way, there is a path, there is somebody out there that will give you
yeah.
a hand up.
Because people will say, even something, like I'm a hypnotherapist, and people will say, "Well, I've tried hypnotherapy, it doesn't work for me." It's like, well, there's there's so many other things, and there's so many other types of hypnotherapy, and if one practitioner doesn't connect well with you, there'll be other ones that might, and there's other different modalities as well, or even like counseling or therapy. Oh, I tried it, it doesn't work. It's like, well, you've got to find the right fit, or there's other things that you can try as well.
Or in combination of there's,
Right,
and
absolutely.
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, totally agree. So, so where can people reach you if they want to learn more about your services or, have a session with you?
Actually, the website is up and running and
Okay.
pretty comprehensive, I'd like to say.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
ouressentialenergies.com.
Okay.
And energies is ENERGYS.
GYS.
And
Yep.
so there's some great information on there. We've got the Instagram up and going too.
Okay.
But for booking, it is via the website.
Okay. Great. Great. And I'll have that link in the description
Oh,
below
great.
as
Thank you.
well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's see. So, yeah, so I guess, do you have anything else that you want people to know about what you do or anything else you want to share before we go?
I was just trying to peek at my notes. I feel like we covered a lot in that
Yeah.
in that short amount of time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything at this point. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming on with me today and
Thank you.
being my
Thanks for
first
having me.
guest, and hopefully this will continue. And if there's anybody else out there that is a holistic practitioner, you don't have to be in my local area, that would like to share on the channel, please get a hold of me. And thanks again, Jen.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you in a few minutes, I guess, here about
Okay.
an hour
Yeah,
or
see you in a
so.
little bit.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.